Hello everyone and welcome back to our Portuguese homestead. So today I have the final installment of my little bonus series on budgeting. And so today I want to kind of talk you through how it went, what were the goals, did we achieve them, how did we achieve them, and did I learn anything? It's going to be a short video. I'll try to keep it precise, concise, because I saw that the last video was a little bit too long for some of you. So let's get into it. So first of all, a little recap of what my goal was for doing this challenge. I was mostly doing it for myself and kind of taking you along. Budgeting is something that I kind of do off and on. Try to stick to a budget, kind of see what we spend and where we spend it, and I'd kind of let it go for a little while because it's stressful, and so I wanted to kind of get into the habit again of kind of knowing where our money goes and maybe where we can cut corners and where we can't. So the goal, that was the main goal for me, kind of just stick to the budget that I have in mind, not anything extreme. And then a little subdivision of that goal is to kind of not spend so much money on food that we don't have money for materials. More on that later, as well as start saving for some of the bigger expenses that are coming up for us. So that was the goal. The ways that I wanted to achieve that goal is write down the budget and then put everything in jars or in envelopes or something like that. I wanted to go all cash, but the times that we live in now kind of made that hard. Here in the countryside of central Portugal, a lot of things are still done by cash. For example, in the little shop here in the village, I don't know if they even take cards, so we always have a little bit of cash at home. But to get like the bigger amounts of money that we spend throughout the whole month, you would have to go into a bank, and that's a bit of a hassle. So doing it that way was not really an option. So that was something that we already kind of fell short in. And then but some of the things that I did achieve is do more batch cooking. So I made bigger meals so that we could eat them for 2, sometimes 3 days. That really helps. It's also kind of nice for me so that I don't have to cook that second day, and it saves on ingredients, I think, as well as I finally started cooking with dry beans again. It does take a little bit of planning, which is not always something that I stick to. So sometimes I kind of cook too many beans because I don't know how many dry beans convert into how many cooked beans. So that was kind of, I did waste a few beans there, I think, and that was kind of a shame. But all in all, it's much cheaper to do it that way than to buy canned beans anyway. So it's a plus. I'll keep doing it. In the end, how much did we spend? I'll try to put it on the screen. Not much changed since last time that I told you how much we were spending. At the time we were halfway through the month, and I figured that we spent too much money on materials. More on I'll talk a little bit more on that. And so that meant that I had to see where we could cut corners. I didn't go full extreme, only spending 40 euros on the food for the next 2 weeks. I thought that was a little bit too extreme, and we can't really kind of eat well enough for that money. So in the end, Martin went to the shop and he bought enough food for 2 weeks for 90 euros, which I thought was still a pretty good deal. And then we just ate that. In that shop, in that list, I focused on very cheap seasonal food. So lots of onions, carrots are very cheap. cabbages, stuff like that, that you can cook and that also keep a little bit longer than salad, for example, and then kind of making that into different dishes. I think we ate well that week, those 2 weeks, but I think to only eat that type of food in the long run is not nutritionally balanced enough to kind of keep that going. So I do prefer to also buy some other stuff to kind of make it a more balanced meal, because, well, Martin works hard, I'm pregnant, we have a toddler, all those things just mean that food is always important, but especially within the within our lifestyle it's important to eat well. So that's what we did. So that kind of comes to almost 300, which is under budget. But then, as you saw in the last video, we spent too much money on materials. We went 80 over, I think. And yeah, as some of you said under that last video in the comments, it's also something that we just, like, we have to spend money on materials because we're still building the farm. Our budget is very small. I mean, 200 euros is like poof, gone if you buy a couple things for your projects in a month. So it's a small budget, we know that, and it's just money that we have to spend, because if we can't spend any money on the garden right now, then we can't grow any food over the summer, and then we can't save money that way as well. So in building up our farm, we just have to kind of be nice to ourselves and just realize that stuff like that takes time and takes money and investment. We do, as you see in videos, we do always kind of we're always on the lookout for cheap materials, free materials like pellet wood and stuff like that. But not everything is free, as is life, as is the world. So yeah, we do what we can with what we have, and that also means one of the themes of the of this channel is it takes time. You can't build a homestead unless you have a bunch of money. You can't build a homestead in two years because, yeah, money. So that's kind of what I learned, and some of the extra expenses that we had because of that was well, the materials that you saw. I also did buy some seeds because after the inventory I kind of wanted to buy a couple more things. I spent 25 euros at Sementes Vivas. More seed talk later. And as you saw in last week's video, we also had to take Louis to the vet to get snipped. It was an emergency, it had to be done, and that was 130 euros. And in that month we also bought the new washing machine with, thankfully, help of some of you, so that was really awesome. But it did once again underline, as some of you were saying as well, an emergency fund for stuff like that is really important. So that's why I always like to keep a couple €100 in the bank, just in case that we have something like that happen. You never know if you need like some medical assistance for yourself or for your animals. Sometimes life just happens that costs money, and it's good to have that little bit of buffer. All in all, I think this month of keeping track of where our money goes was very useful for me. In the comments I would love to hear how some of you were doing, because you were also looking at where can I spend less money, where can I cut expenses, and stuff like that. Yeah, we all have our own budgets. Ours is very small. We have that privilege because we don't have rent and stuff like that. So don't be too hard on yourself if you have to pay money for electricity, because sometimes you just have to. Most of the times, actually. I don't know if I'll do any more videos specifically on this topic. Maybe in the future. We'll see. For now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.